Hey, welcome to another episode of Bricks and Dragons. We're here with Ben Hoyer. He's the owner of Downtown Credo, a chain of coffee shops in Orlando. Welcome, Ben.
Hey Jason, good to be here, man.
And why don't you start by just telling us a little bit about what do you do and who's the customer that you serve?
Yeah, cool, man. Downtown Credo is trying to create small steps for people to move towards a life of meaning, impact, and community. And we do that with direct trade coffee and letting people name their price. So that they are challenged to own their place in the supply chain and realize that buying a cup of coffee is a big deal. So our customer is the person who loves great coffee, but also wants to be a part of something larger than themselves. And so we try to root ourselves in community so that we're very community focused. We do that with looking at who we hire for our baristas, what kinds of projects that they're in, and then with me as an ambassador for the company being connected to the community, but then also sourcing all of our coffee as directly as possible so that when people name their price, they know it's having a positive impact on the world.
That's awesome. And what is this your first business, or what was the catalyst when you decided to become a business owner?
Yeah, man, I didn't decide to become a business owner. I like it just kind of happened to me. So I intended to start a nonprofit that was like focused on challenging people to move towards lives of meaning, impact, and community. I'm just convinced that no matter who you are or whatever your level of affluence, if you can live a life like that, you'll like it better. And so my mission in Orlando is to try and build networks of people around those principles of meaning, impact, and community. And I just realized that supply chains might be our biggest way to make a global impact in the world today. And that I
Uh,
could get connected to the coffee supply chain and felt like I could create a space where people wanted to be. And so it started as a nonprofit and moved into a benefit corporation after several years when we started to get some opportunities to open other locations.
that's awesome. We might ask you some questions about the end for people who are interested about B Corps. And
Yeah.
then one other question I always like to ask small business owners is it innate, the ability to take risk, or is it learned? How do you feel about entrepreneurship in general and people who become entrepreneurs? Like, is it in your blood or can you learn it?
I think that I think you can learn to start a business. And some people, it may be easier for them than others based on, I think it's actually less about risk and more about kind of optimism and self-confidence. So I don't, I love starting new things, but I'm relatively risk averse. So it's not a gamble. Everything is a gamble starting, but I try and make the gamble as small as possible. I tell people starting something is like jumping off a cliff. The goal is to make the cliff as small as possible. So if you don't land on your feet, you get hurt as little as possible. So I think there is innate risk in starting something, but I don't think we have to feel like we're jumping off a cliff into the abyss. We can spot out a landing and try and hit it.
That's a really good perspective. And then here at the end, you get a chance to win some money to help another small business owner on Bricks and Dragons. And so you either get a handicap or so you get a +2 handicap at the end, and you tell us what your greatest superpower is. So what's the thing that you're best at?
Uh, well, Kyle, who I work a lot with, would say I'm best at figuring out how to say things in a way succinctly that are connected to meaning. So I can usually listen to a business owner and understand their core motivation and connect that to their like strategy or value proposition.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. And something a lot of small business owners struggle with is how do you know when the right time is to grow your business? So you have two locations. What kind of math are you doing or feelings are you doing in your head when you know when is the time for that third or fourth or fifth? When's the right time to grow versus optimize what you have?
Oh, that's a cool question, man. I think that it's like really about the first level of that question is what are you trying to accomplish with your business. So um, there are times where growth means you make less money, right? But making less money might be okay if your mission is employing more people, right? And then you're willing to take that sacrifice. for me, this goal of building networks around the principles of meaning, impact, and community means that if I can mitigate my risk enough so that cliff is small enough, I'll take lots of opportunities to grow, because it means I have a new place to start building networks of people. So I think it's really being clear about your motivations and not assuming that you are aware of them. And so the easy answer to that question might be to discern when you're ready to make more money. But I think it's actually more complex than that, because most business owners are driven by more things than the bottom line, than the net. And so understanding really what you're motivated by, and then getting clarity on that before you take your next step, so you know why you're growing, rather than just, is the opportunity there.
I like that answer. Know why you're growing.
Yeah.
And obviously being a small business owner is stressful. Do you have tips for other owners when it comes to staying, physically or mentally healthy, and managing kind of the responsibilities of being a small business owner?
Yeah, man, there's so many that pop into my head immediately. One of them that comes to mind right away is from a friend of mine who is a chief strategy officer for a large company. And he was saying the more established you get, the larger your responsibility gets, the more you have to get comfortable with fires burning all the time. You can't wait until all the fires are out to shut down for the day, because all the fires will never be put out. You just have to decide which ones are critical and let the other ones keep burning. The other thing that I've learned is to make sure, that helps me do that, is to make sure I have other things going on in my life besides my venture. So I have to develop hobbies that I care about and I'm working on improving on. I have to focus on being present with my kids. So I would say knowing how to stop and how to transition to something else is really important for me in physical and mental health.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I could benefit from taking a lot of that advice. And then here we meet the wizard, where you give your younger self advice in just one category. So we roll a dice to figure out what category, and you got a 3, so hiring. So when you're hiring someone, what are you looking for? What are the traits or things that you're looking for when you're deciding this person is either going to work out or not work out?
Yeah, that's good, man. That's one of the things that is I ought to have known when I was younger, because it's out there, but I don't think I paid attention to it. Is the best indicator of future behavior is past behavior. So when you're hiring people, ask them for times that they've demonstrated the skill that you're looking for, and scale doesn't matter. So if you're looking for an entrepreneur, if they have stories of starting successful lemonade stands and they're young, then that counts as being an entrepreneur. So the scale doesn't matter, as long as it was proportionate to the resources that they had available. The other thing that I've learned is you can't hire in order to save someone or fix someone. You have to hire someone who's going to almost fix your company, right? So look for someone who's better than you in areas, who's smarter than you in areas, and not someone like you've got a job that's gonna fix someone else or save someone else,
Yeah.
which is easy to do as an entrepreneur sometimes.
Great advice. And now we're at the end, so we roll a d20 to see if you win a prize here. You got +2 before, so tell me when to stop, and we'll stop rolling this dice.
Okay, you can stop it.
So you got a 9, so +2. You got an 11. So we're gonna PayPal you or Venmo you $50 to invest on the My Venture platform in another small business owner.
Nice.
And thank you so much for coming on the show. Take a second. A lot of our viewers are in Orlando, so where can they find a Credo coffee shop, and how do they get involved? What's the average? I think it would be really interesting for people to know, if you feel comfortable disclosing it. What do people on average pay for a cup of coffee, and what's kind of the range?
Cool. Yeah. So we have two locations right now. One is at Advent Health, their main campus near Princeton and Orange, in their headquarters building. They have parking garages there that are free right now. It's a great place to work. And then the other one is in the Nora apartment building, which is on Orange Avenue, just north of Colonial. And there we also have a lunch place there called Guacamole that a friend runs.
Awesome.
Yeah, and right now the average ticket is between $5 and $7. That's up because people have baked goods or they're buying monthly cards. We have a monthly espresso card people buy where you pay $70 and then you don't have to name your price every cup. You can drink as much as you want for that month.
Oh,
Uh,
really, really cool.
some things that drive that ticket price up, which is always a metric that you're watching as a small business owner, is what's your price per transaction. So
Awesome.
5 to 7
Well,
for us.
awesome. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much for being on. Everyone out there, find a Credo coffee shop downtown, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Jason.